Hey guys, Matt from Mr. Matt's Arcade here. Today I'm going to show you how to operate my full-size stand-up arcade cabinet. Your on-off switch is right up here on the top. Takes a minute to boot up. This is your player 1 side. This is your player 2 side. Here's your player 1 start button, player 2 start button. Here's your pause/exit button. The button layout is A, B, C, D, E, F. This one has the trackball upgrades. Your trackball's right in the middle. So it loads up to the game select screen to navigate the game. So you go up or down on the joystick to go game by game, or left or right to go page by page. And then you can also hold it to scroll quicker. And then once you find a game that you want to play, you press player 1 button A, and that'll load it up. Right now it's in free play mode. If it was set to coin op mode, you would insert a couple of quarters before pressing the A button to load the game. This is the CX game board. This one has 2,800 games stock, and then I've added several hundred more on top of that. So it has over 3,000 games. Mostly arcade games, but it also has some Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and PlayStation 1 games. Some of the games take a little longer to load than others. And then since it's an arcade game, you'll press either player 1 or player 2 start button to start. And a lot of the games use buttons A, B, C, which is your bottom row. Some of the fighting games use all 6. Some of the console games use all 6. The easiest thing to do is just press each button when you start the game and figure out what button does what. And then this middle button here is your pause/exit button. If you press that, it brings up this screen. You can do save state and load state with some of the games. And if I did save state right now, exited out, came back in, and did load state, it would pick up right where I left off. To choose one of these, you highlight whichever one you want and then press the A button. So we're going to go down to exit. And that'll kick us back to the main menu. And the other way you can find games is pressing the player 1 start button. That brings up this menu. And in here you have your recently played games, search by name, and then it has separated into categories: 3D games, 3 and 4 player, fighting, action, shooting, sports, and puzzle. So go to search, press the A button. Over here it also tells you what controls do what. So let's bring up Centipede so I can show you the trackball. Go down to OK, over to Centipede, and let's load that one up. And again, it's an arcade game, so press the player 1 or player 2 start button. And this one is a trackball game. As you can see, trackball's pretty responsive. This way you can play Centipede and some of these other classics the way they're meant to be played. Some of these you can play with the joystick, but they just don't feel right. And then when you're ready to quit, you hit that pause button, go back down to exit. So this board comes with 2,800 games stock. I'm going to show you some of the added games that I did. I added a few more classic arcade games that were missing from this list. And then I added some trackball arcade games. And then I did a bunch of Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and PlayStation 1. So starting at 2801, these are the added games. in here we have some good trackball games. Big Event Golf, Birdie King, Blasteroids, Bolorama, Cabal, Camel Tree, Capcom Bowling, Centipede, another version of it, some more bowling, a bunch of stuff like that. And I've also added some classic games that were missing, like Defender and Joust, Joust 2, that type of stuff. And then some better versions of the Mortal Kombats and NBA Jams. And then here's a bunch of Nintendo and Super Nintendo and such games that were added as well. When you're all done playing and you want to shut it down, you just exit out of the game back to the main menu, and then you go ahead and go ahead and switch the power off. Now I'm going to show you something else. To adjust your volume, if you have the speaker upgrade, you open your either coin door or access door, and if you look in there, there's a little mini amp with 3 knobs. The middle one is volume, and the left is bass, and the right is treble. If you don't have the speaker upgrade, there's a little volume slider on the side of the game board. And then also on the side of the game board is a little black button that brings you into the settings menu. In here, there's a bunch of things you can do. You have your I/O test. You can go in here and check and make sure all your buttons and joysticks are working. If you thought for some reason you were having an issue, you could come in here to double check. And you can follow the on-screen commands on how to get through all of this. The other one to show you is system config. This top one, we can switch it from free play to coin mode. Then there is quality optimization, which is like a smoothing filter. And there's scanline filter, which recreates the original CRT scan lines. And you can play with those. Some of those make the games look good, some don't look so great, so it's kind of personal choice. It's something to play around with. And then down here at the bottom is gamepad settings. Here you can change it from using the gamepads for player 1 or player 2, or using them for player 3 and 4. And the gamepad upgrade comes with 2 PlayStation style USB controllers and a couple of USB ports, and you can use those to, as instead of the buttons and joysticks for player 1 or player 2, or with the buttons and joysticks for the 3 and 4 player games. And we just went over how to switch it from 3 and 4 player or 1 and 2. The other thing to show you is the game settings, and here you can edit the difficulty and lives of some of the games. You can edit the games list, and you can edit your favorites list. So to edit the games list, that way you could hide games if you wanted to narrow it down to just the ones you wanted, or if you wanted to remove games you didn't want your kids playing or something like that. And then the favorites list, you can go in there and mark a game your favorite. We'll mark Blood Warrior as our favorite, and then when we restart the system, that one will pop up at the beginning of the list to make it nice, quick, and easy to find. These settings only work on the stock games, not the added ones. That's all I really need to show you in here. And then the last thing is, when you're all done, you go down to Save Settings. Save Settings and Reboot, yes. And now any changes you made will show up now, just like right here. Blood Warrior is now on the front of the list, so that would be a nice and quick way to find that. And since I'm all done playing, I'm going to go ahead and just kill the power. If you ever wanted to swap out this graphic, there's 3 screws holding this bar on, 3 holding this bar on. You could take those and the plexiglass off. You could put a different graphic on. If you ever needed to clean behind the plexiglass, clean your monitor or anything like that, there's 3 screws holding this bar on, and you can take that off, and then you can tilt the plexiglass forward. You may need to slide the control panel forward to get it all the way out. If you ever had to do anything with the buttons or joysticks, there's 4 screws, 2 on each side. You would undo those, and then you could tilt the control panel forward to gain access to it. Alright guys, I think that's a quick rundown of everything. And as always, game on, my friends.